Hey, coffee beans, what's brewing? Oh my goodness, what's up? Welcome to the Brewed with Agape podcast. If you're new here, I'm your host, Alyssa Mahavir, and I'm so happy that you decided to tune in today. Today is episode 8. My goodness, that is so amazing. And we are heading into my favorite season, fall. My gosh. And it's so crazy because I remember telling you guys this in episode 1, introducing myself, giving a little bit of who I am. And I was like, oh, I love the fall. I love the last 4 months of the year. And here we are. That's so crazy. I literally felt like I told you guys that yesterday. And it was actually, 5-6 months ago. Yeah, that's crazy. Time is flying. But with that, I hope you guys are having a wonderful year. I hope you guys were able to accomplish so many great things, little goals, big goals, whatever it is. I want you to know that I am so proud of you. So proud of you. Even if you think, oh, I didn't even do anything crazy, Alyssa. Whatever it is that you did, you made it here, and I'm proud. And give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself some grace, and give yourself some love because you deserve it. And with that being said, even more so, you have 4 months left. Don't think the year is over. Don't think you've run out of time. If there is anything that you wanted to accomplish, anything that you wanted to start, whatever it is, you have 4 months left. Don't feel like you failed. You didn't fail nothing. Keep going or just get started. You're good. Somebody needs to hear that, and it definitely was me. I'm kidding. Somebody needed to hear that, and I'm happy you were to hear it, and I hope you take it with you and run with it. Hey, so today's topic, we're going to talk about today's topic, and I broke it into 2 subtopics. So today's topic is age ain't nothing but a number, and I definitely took this title from Aaliyah's song. If you don't know who Aaliyah is, she is a pop R&B singer, one of the greatest. So our subtopics, I don't really have names for our subtopics, but I kind of just broke this topic into 2. So basically, this topic is pretty important because I feel like sometimes we stress ourselves out way too much based on how old we are. I know I do. And I know I've spoken to some friends and family recently that, we're getting into the almost end of the year, so there are some birthdays that came around and people have turned older but they look younger. Hey. And sometimes when you think about the number that you're turning and the age that you're turning, you're just you pause for a second. And I've seen this almost every time. I've seen a hesitation in everyone, and it's because you're just holy crap, I'm this age. And then it's like a very quick second, you're just thinking, did I accomplish something? Did I do this? Was I able to get this done before I turn this age, or whatever the case may be? And it's just so crazy to me because I've done this too. I mean, in a month, I'll be 24 and I'm just thinking, okay, did I accomplish certain things? Did I do what I wanted to do? Now I need to reflect. What am I running out of? Am I running out of time? I think everybody goes through this question of, am I running out of time? I hope not. I really hope I'm not running out of time. But hopefully I put some pointers or kind of just give a little bit of a reality check, you're not running out of time. So let's get into it. Topic number 1, or subtopic number 1, I'd say that I came to a realization that society and the world puts out this idea that your number makes or breaks you. As we were just getting into it, you reach a certain age, 25, and you're just oh my goodness, I'm 5 more years till 30. And then you reach 30 and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm 30. Then you reach 35 and you're just, it's an endless cycle when you start going up and up and up. And you start putting this pressure on yourself, or you start feeling like you need to accomplish certain things at a certain time, and now you're just stressed and depressed and worried and feeling like you might be falling behind. And it's like, stop. Can you stop? Like, how do we stop? I think that's the question. It's easy to say, stop, don't think that way. But how? Where do we find the comfort in knowing that just because we turn 25, just because we turn 30, 40, or 50, we didn't run out of time. We're not falling behind. And I think based on what I've learned, what I've seen, what I've witnessed, it's finding comfort in what you have accomplished. And if you sit there and talking about something, oh, I didn't accomplish anything, you're crazy. Like, I'm sure you accomplished 1, 2, 3 things. And who says you gotta accomplish 100 things? Like, why? Where is it coming from? When you think about it, you're just like, where is this like checklist and to-do list and this number coming from? Like, why? And it's coming from the world, honestly. It's coming from society making you feel like you need to have it done and you need to have 10 things crossed off before you hit 30, and you need to have kids, you need to have a house, you need to have a career, you need to be making 6 figures. And it's like, relax, whoa, like, hold up. And I think it's just like setting realistic goals. Set those realistic goals and then be okay if you don't hit them. Be okay if you don't hit those goals. It's okay. And I don't want you guys to feel like I'm saying it's bad to have goals. It's not bad to have goals. I think it's great. Have a plan for your life. Please have goals in your life. Please do not sit there on the couch and just be like, well, Alyssa said I don't need to have goals. I never said that. But I'm saying, don't let it consume you, where you get so upset with yourself, get upset with the people around you. You're just like stressed. You're like, oh my God, I need to hit this before my birthday's next month and I haven't done this yet. Like, I need to do it now. And now you're just like, oof, that's hard. I'm literally going to be 24 next year, and I was pressuring myself. And like, gosh, let's say 24. Like, you should be this in your career. You should be this. Like, but like, where is that coming from? And then I start to realize, like, there are other people my age, older, much older, that are still accomplishing things, that are still getting through, their masters, still getting through wanting to travel at this place and hit this bucket list and all these things. And it's like, I think that's where I find comfort. The more I talk to people, the more that I conversate with people that are older than me, I have a realization of like, oh, I think I just talked to my boss about this because I was having a mental breakdown just a couple weeks ago. So much going on. I literally had a mental breakdown. I was like hyperventilating in my car. Like, it was a little wild. It was definitely an episode. I had an anxiety attack, guys, because I put so much pressure on myself. And then, like, obviously I had to leave work. It was a little bit of a deal. And then the next day my boss asked me how I was doing, and I told him, I was like, yeah, I think I just had a bit of like a anxiety episode because I had so much pressure on myself. And he was just like, everyone you see coming in here don't even know what they're doing. Everybody you see coming into this office are in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s. Yes, they have some things accomplished, which is great, but yet they're still coming in here not knowing, not having everything figured out. Why do you feel like you need to have everything figured out at your age? Relax. And it was just like, yeah, you're right. You are so right. Why do we feel like we need to have everything figured out? Because we turn a certain age. Like, why can't we just be happy and be content and be grateful and be proud of everything that we have learned so far in the age that we are? What? I think that's where the realization needs to come. And this is why reflecting or just taking a moment to just breathe. Like, the world is scary. The world is fast paced. The world is just always going to be moving. Like, take a step back, breathe. What did you learn this month? What is it that you learned this month? What did you accomplish this week? Did you drink enough water? Did you have breakfast? Did you eat a healthy meal? Did you go on a walk? Did you get some good rest? Did you learn something on TikTok that you were able to utilize in your life and make your life better? Great. Great. Congratulations. Be proud of that. I think we need to start making little goals and big goals. And I know this is a thing. I know it's in books. I know it's in other podcasts. I know that wiser people have said this, like having little goals and having the big goals and the short-term goals and the long-term goals. Yes, but I think we need a reminder. We need to really start breaking apart goals. You know what I mean? We need to start having baby goals, tiny goals, and then, smaller goals, and then medium goals, and then larger goals, because I feel like we generalize so many different goals and then it becomes so much. Start carrying the small stuff and then slowly work towards the big stuff, so that way we can feel the accomplishment more. We can feel the gratitude of, yeah, I did that. I feel good about this. And you still have the big goal there and you're slowly reaching it, but you can take a step back and be proud of yourself for a little bit, because sometimes we feel like we're running out of time, and you're not. You're just beginning. You're just beginning. So that was a bit of what my subtopic 1 was about. Subtopic 2, I feel, is so important. I kind of have a little bit of a title for this one. It's age and wisdom and maturity, because this is important. I don't know if this has come across you guys. I don't know if you guys have experienced this yet, but I've noticed and I've realized how much ageism is a thing, not just in the corporate workplace, but in life in general, in families, in friendships, in work, of course, and just anywhere you go. Ageism is a thing. And I don't have the definition of ageism right now, but if you have time, look up the definition of ageism. It has something to do with it's a stereotype. It's a way of discrimination based on your age. But it's so real. It is so real. And I notice this more and more as I'm getting older. And it's you can learn from people that are younger than you. You know that, right? Just like you can learn from people that are older than you, you can learn from people that are younger than you. And again, society and the world make you feel like you can only learn from people that are older because they're experienced and they're wiser, which is 100% true. Yes, they are. They have lived this life longer on this earth than you. Let's say my mom, who's 40 something, and I'm 20 something. She's 42, I think. Don't quote me. And I'm 23, right? And for the longest time, it was just my mom knew everything, which in some cases that she does. But as I'm getting older, she's understanding that she can learn from me too, which is kind of cool. And I feel like that shifted our dynamic in our relationship a lot, because it's yeah, Mom, I'm smart too. I have things that I've learned too. You want to know what I learned? And it changed the relationship completely in a great way, because now our conversations are so much more I wouldn't say in a best friend way, but it was we can both learn from each other and have a better understanding. And yet, the things I say, the advice that I give and the advice that she gives, we can just learn from it. And it's just this insane, amazing dynamic. And it was very helpful for me, because I have a sister who's my cousin, but she's literally my little sister, who's 4 years younger than me. And I think she really shifted my mindset the most in a lot sooner, because she's 4 years younger. You're 4 years younger than me, which is a pretty big age gap. That's freshman year and senior, right? So she's 4 years younger than me, and her and I can have the most mature conversations as if we're the same age, as if she's been through what I've already been through. And yet I'm learning from her. I'm learning so much from her, and it's a proud moment for me, because I'm just oh, that's so cool. I'm learning so much from you. And of course she learns from me, because I'm older and I can give her advice and all these things. I've been through some things, but it's just that comfort knowing that just because you're 4 years younger than me doesn't mean I can't learn from you. You know what I mean? Just because you're 4 years younger than me doesn't mean you're not going to experience something that I never experienced. And that's where it clicked for me. There are 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds and 4-year-olds and 13-year-olds that have experienced something in their life that I have never experienced, that I get to learn from. So how can I sit there and be like, oh, you know nothing. I know more than you because I'm older by 10 years, by 5 years, whatever the case may be. But they have gone through something in their life or been through something that I have never experienced, and they can give me advice. And you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. I think it's just so crazy to me that sometimes we forget that we can learn from our youth just as much as we can learn from our wise older people. And I love talking to people that are older than me. I love talking to people that are older than me. I talk to a lot of people older than me at work and church, whoever I can encounter that's older. And I love having conversations about life and asking questions because I know that I can learn from it. But then I understand that I can have the same conversations with people that are younger than me and I can learn from them just as much. And it's just like a great, cool feeling. Like sometimes we forget that. And for instance, I have 2 siblings, one that's 13 and one that's 8, and I learn from them too. It would be so horrible of me to sit there and think that their feelings and their experiences in life are nothing and mean nothing because they're younger than me. Oh, I know everything. I know it all. I've been through this. What do you have to tell me? Whatever you have to tell me means nothing. Can you imagine? Or their input doesn't matter because they're younger than me. What? At the end of the day, we're all people, and we all have our own unique perspective and our own unique minds. No matter what we go through, we're all going to see the world different and see a scenario different. No matter what age, you know what I mean? So every perspective matters. Every thought matters. It's up for debate. It's for discussion. You know, you can't shut people down and shut down their thoughts and what they believe in because you feel like they don't know anything because they're young. I feel like that's just so mean and so rude. Like, who knows? Whatever. I'm sure that an advice, if I were to ask my little sister for advice, she's 8, about something, if I were to just like, Malia, I'm going through this. This is what I'm going through. What do you think about this? I'm sure in her best way, 8-year-old mind, she's going to give me like 10 sentences of something. And one of those sentences is going to make sense to me and be like, wow, you're right. That makes 100% sense. Like, maybe I'll try that. You just never know. You just never know. Like, why would you shut it down if you don't know? Right? Same thing with my 13-year-old brother. And he's a boy. He's a teen boy. We live different lives. And if I give him a scenario or a situation, I'm like, what do you think, man? What do you think? He's going to be like, well, blah, 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 blah. You know, he's going to give me something. And I'll be like, you know what? You know what, Mason? I think you're on to something here, buddy. I think you're on the right track. And it's so comforting that I've been able to do that the past couple, I would say the last year or two, having that mindset and just really sitting down and listening to what they have to say and actually like caring enough to know what they have to say. And it's actually pretty beneficial for me because I'm learning from them and I'm looking at something at a different lens than I never did before because I'm only seeing it from one perspective. It's just so cool. It's so cool. And it was so funny because I'm reading the book of Ecclesiastes right now. I'm on that right now. And I came across a part of that chapter. And it said, I don't know if this is the right one. I think it's Ecclesiastes 4, but I could be wrong. I will double check that. But it said, better is a poor but wise youth than an old but foolish king who no longer pays attention to warnings. So I'm sure that whole sentence has many different interpretations, but how I was able to interpret it based on planning this episode and thinking about this episode topic for the last couple weeks, I was like, what? How fitting is the sentence for this episode? Better is a poor but wise youth than an old but foolish king who no longer pays attention to warnings. So let's break it apart. And I love the fact that they used old but foolish king. So they already said this guy's old. Okay? We're not going to talk about the foolish part. So the guy is old and he's a king. being that he's a king, do you think he's going to want to listen to anybody other than himself? No, because he's a king. He already what? Knows it all, right? And he's old. So he feels like whatever anybody else has to say means nothing. You lack everything because you're not worthy. I am the king. Anyway, I love how they use that. And let's see, better is a poor but wise youth. So youth, the youth or the kid, I'm sure that they are applying is the youth, is not a king. It's not royalty. Hence why it's poor. But it's wise because it has probably experience in some things that the king has never experienced because it probably grew up rich in royalty and blah, blah, blah. Probably the poor youth probably has more skills than the old king based on their lifestyle differences. But if you were to look at it from a surface level, you would think the old king is wiser and smarter and knows everything better than the youth. You feel me? I hope it's catching. And then it continues to say, who no longer pays attention to warnings. So for me, I was like, okay, the king is old and he's a fool because he thinks he knows everything. He's not going to pay attention to any caution, warning signals. He's no longer going to question things that he could or should question because he thinks he knows it all, right? But a kid who's youthful and wise is going to still question things and be like, I wonder why this, and what do you think this is going to ask different perspective. It's not just going to take its own word and go with it. He, she, the wise youth, whoever the youth is, let's say it's a girl or a boy, whatever, he's gonna ask questions because he doesn't think that he's know-it-all. He wants to learn. That's why he's so wise. And I like that they put these words in here, poor. Okay, he's humble, right? A poor person usually is humble because they don't have much, so they know how to be giving and know how to just like be understanding and really sit there and listen and be like, yeah, okay, I don't really know much. They already feel like they don't have much, so they don't know much, but they actually know so much because they learned so many great skills. In comparison to old foolish king, because dude's king, he's rich, he got stuff, people listen to him, he got servants, like, what do you gotta listen to you for, So I think it's just like a great thing that I came across while reading the Bible, and I was like, this is so fitting to what I was talking about. But yeah, I think it's important to kind of just reflect, like, one, just because you're a certain age doesn't mean you have to have it all figured out. And just because you're a certain age and you think people are accomplishing things younger than you or older than you, so what? I think you're meant to go on your path. I think I've said this many times in different episodes, like you have a path to go on. Your timeline is not another person's timeline. Can you imagine if we all went through the same exact timeline at the same time? Everybody on this earth got married at the same time. Everybody on this earth had babies at the same time. Everybody on this earth went to school at the same time and got their degrees at the same time. What world would we be living in? One of those crazy TV shows that end up being very scary at the end, right? So I think there's comfort in knowing that everybody has their own different timeline. Okay? Yes. And that's also in Ecclesiastes. There was a section, I think it's Ecclesiastes 3, and it talks about there's a time for everything. And it started going through all the different times. There's a time for birth, there's a time for death, there's a time for laughter, there's a time for grief. And it started going to the line, and then it got me thinking. I was like, man, imagine if we all went through the same timeline. I'm sure it wasn't even me. It definitely was God giving me that insight for this episode too. And I was just like, can you imagine? That's kind of scary. Everybody was born the same day. Everybody died the same day, had babies the same day. Like, that's scary. Like, there's comfort in knowing that we're all meant to be in our own different timeline. Like, if that doesn't come for you, give it a second, because it will. I'm sure it will. But yeah, I think there's comfort in knowing that. And then there's also comfort in knowing that everybody's going to learn from somebody. Okay, just because you're older, just because you're the older sibling, like moi, I'm the older sibling, does not mean that I know everything. It does not mean later on in life when my little siblings are in their 20s and 30s and I'm in my 40s, I will not learn from them. Oh my God, I think I'll learn from them so much more than I will now. I'm excited. I'm so excited to have conversations with my siblings when they're in their 20s and 30s and I'm much older. Like, I feel like we can have a lot more mature conversations because we're all going to be adults. But it's just like, man, I'm excited to know what they're going to know and what they could teach me, because they're going to be living in a different world, in a different society, in a different life, and technology is going to be more advanced. And, I'm sure I'm going to be still cool. I'm going to still be a tech whiz when I'm in my 50s and 40s, but I just can't wait. And I just hope to continue this mindset of knowing that I can learn from people of different ages, especially those younger than me, because I'm going to have my own kids. I'm going to have nieces and nephews and other people that I'm going to encounter that are younger than me, that I don't want to seem like I'm so standoffish, or like I know better, or I'm better than you because I'm older than you. You know what I mean? Like, I want to have this mindset so that way I can create these connections, create these great relationships. Like, I want to be able to like have a great relationship with my niece or my nephew, and they can feel like they can teach me things. And another little side note, like, for those who are older siblings or older cousins or older friends in their friend groups or whatever it is, I'm just going to go off from the siblings. Like, even if you know it already and your little sibling comes to you in excitement because they found something, they just learned something that you've already known, act like you didn't know. Just act like you didn't know. Act like you didn't know, and you're just like, be excited for them and just be like, yeah, you got this. I can't believe it. I'm so happy for you. I promise you, it'll just be the best thing you do. So yes, that is the end of episode 8. Age ain't nothing but a number. I hope that you guys were able to understand and take something out of today's episode and kind of give yourself a little bit of grace with whatever age you are turning. I'm sure that you've accomplished a lot. I'm sure that you are learning a lot. And I'm sure that you have amazing, amazing goals ahead of you. And I really do hope that you accomplish them. And from our other subtopic, I hope this kind of opens up your perspective and understanding of like learning from the youth, and maybe this will help you have better conversations with people that you know that are younger than you. And that way they can feel like, he or she is actually listening to me. They actually care to listen to me. They actually care to know what I think. Interesting. I promise you, I feel like it's just gonna change your life and change your relationships and change your perspective just having this. So I'm excited for that. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm not as consistent as I should be, and I am so sorry, but I am working on it, and I hope to be better soon. It's part of my little goal. Thank you for listening. Bye.